आदरणीय दर्शकवृन्द, गत आइतबार ग्रेटर वाशिंगटन तमु समाजले फेयरफ्याक्स भर्जिनियामा यो वर्षको लोसार पर्व भव्यताका साथ मनाएको थियो। तब प्रस्तुत छ एक रिपोर्ट।
यही आइतबार जनवरी 15 तारिक ग्रेटर वाशिंगटन तमु समाजले लोसार पर्व फेयरफ्याक्स भर्जिनियामा भव्यताका साथ मनाएको थियो। कार्यक्रममा सदाझैँ डीसी, भर्जिनिया र मेरील्यान्ड वरपर बसोबास गर्ने उल्लेख्य व्यक्तिहरूको उपस्थिति रहेको थियो। ग्रेटर वाशिंगटन तमु समाजका अध्यक्ष कुलप्रसाद गुरुङको सभापतित्वमा सम्पन्न उक्त कार्यक्रमका प्रमुख अतिथि हुनुहुन्थ्यो नेपाली राजदूतावासका उपनियोग प्रमुख अर्जुन मैनाली। राजदूतावासका अन्य कर्मचारीहरूको समेत उपस्थिति रहेको सो कार्यक्रममा वाशिंगटन डीसी वरपर रहेका विभिन्न सङ्घ संस्थाका प्रतिनिधिहरूको उपस्थिति रहेको थियो। कार्यक्रममा प्रमुख अतिथि अर्जुन मैनालीले पानसमा बत्ती बाली उक्त कार्यक्रमको उद्घाटन गर्नुभएको थियो। सो कार्यक्रम नेपाली राष्ट्रिय गानबाट सुरुवात गरिएको थियो। उक्त कार्यक्रममा त्यहाँ उपस्थित सबैलाई संस्थाका सल्लाहकार डाक्टर डम्बर कुमार गुरुङले स्वागत गर्दै लोसारको महत्त्वमाथि प्रकाश पार्नुभएको थियो भने प्रमुख अतिथि उपनियोग प्रमुख अर्जुन मैनालीले आफ्नो तर्फबाट तथा राजदूतावासका तर्फबाट लोसारको शुभकामना व्यक्त गर्नुभएको थियो। उक्त कार्यक्रममा संस्थाका पूर्व अध्यक्ष केशर गुरुङ लगायत विभिन्न व्यक्तिहरूले लोसारको शुभकामना व्यक्त गर्नुभएको थियो। कार्यक्रमको अन्त्यमा विभिन्न सांस्कृतिक कार्यक्रम रहेको थियो।
यो थियो ग्रेटर वाशिंगटन तमु समाजद्वारा मनाइएको लोसार पर्वको एक झलक। आदरणीय दर्शकवृन्द, हाम्रो मातृभूमि नेपालका लागि खुसीको खबर। यही मङ्गलबार जनवरी 10 तारिकका दिन पिस कोर हेडक्वार्टर डाउनटाउन वाशिंगटन डीसीमा एक कार्यक्रमको आयोजना गरी नेपालमा पुनः पिस कोर भोलिन्टियरहरू पठाउने सम्बन्धमा पिस कोर, USAID तथा नेपाल सरकारका तर्फबाट संयुक्त रूपमा एक सम्झौतामा हस्ताक्षर गरिएको थियो र हामीले उक्त कार्यक्रमको संक्षिप्त जानकारी गत हप्ता गराएका थियौँ। तब प्रस्तुत छ उक्त कार्यक्रमको पूर्ण विवरण।
On January 10th, 2012, Peace Corps Director Aaron S. Williams and U.S. Agency for International Development, USAID, Assistant Administrator for Asia, Nisha Biswald, signed an interagency agreement along with Nepali Ambassador to the United States of America, Dr. Sankar Prasad Sharma, to reestablish a Peace Corps program in Nepal after a 7-year absence because of the domestic violence in Nepal. The agreement was signed during a ceremony at Peace Corps headquarters in Washington, D.C., and attended by an Assistant Secretary of State for South and Central Asian Affairs, Robert O. Blake, Jr., Senator Harris Woolford, Congressman Jim Walsh, and other directors and other staff members from Peace Corps and USAID, including Deputy Chief of Mission from the Nepal Embassy, Mr. Arjun Manali, NRNAICC, Deputy Regional Coordinator for Americas and producer of Sagarmatha Television, Mr. Ram Chandra Koryal, journalist Mr. Sanjay Nupani, and numerous other Peace Corps volunteers who have returned from Nepal. The program was moderated by Peace Corps Asian Regional Director Ms. Helen Lohman. Since 1962, over 4,000 Americans have served as Peace Corps volunteers in Nepal, working on projects in the sectors of education, environment, natural resource conservation, health, community, and youth development. We are pleased that the government of Nepal has invited Peace Corps volunteers to return and work with local Nepali communities in collaboration with USAID once again, said Peace Corps Director Aaron S. Williams. Now the first group of approximately 20 Peace Corps volunteers is scheduled to arrive in Nepal later this year. At the conclusion of the program, as a symbol from the Nepali national anthem, a garland was offered to the Nepali ambassador to the United States of America, Dr. Sankar Prasad Samar.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen and honored guests, to the Peace Corps celebration of the reopening of our program in Nepal and the signing of the interagency agreement with USAID for this program. As most of you know, Peace Corps volunteers arrived in Nepal in September of 1962. The government of Nepal had requested up to 80 volunteers to include vocational high school teachers, college teachers, and agricultural technicians and mechanics. According to the June 1962 Peace Corps report to Congress, volunteers were to be located in 6 areas of Nepal, which were most favorable from health and logistic considerations. Exactly 50 years later, in September of 2012, we will restart our Peace Corps Nepal program with 20 volunteers arriving to work in the areas of health and agriculture.
Oh, namaste. Swagat cha. It's an honor to welcome you today. What a historic occasion this is. You know, as someone who began my career as a Peace Corps volunteer in the Dominican Republic and who has worked in international development for more than 30 years, I can't tell you how pleased I am to see us return to this historic partnership with the nation of Nepal. You know, it's with all the energy, innovation, compassion that Peace Corps continues to carry the torch of President Kennedy's vision, which today responds to President Obama's call to service. In 2011, as you all know, we celebrate our 50th year, 50 years of promoting world peace and friendship around the world. Over the past 50 years, more than 200,000 Americans have served in 139 countries around the world. And today, 9,000 Americans are serving in 75 countries, and soon they will be joining their colleagues in Nepal. You know, one of the first countries to welcome the Peace Corps in the early years of President Kennedy and our first director, Sergeant Shriver, was, of course, the great nation of Nepal. And I'm sure Harris remembers those conversations about Nepal and what we were going to do in Nepal in those years. The volunteers in 1962 trained their Nepali counterparts in building infrastructure and in programs such as agriculture and education. Between 1962 and 2004, over 4,000 Americans served as Peace Corps volunteers in Nepal, working in areas including education, the environment, natural resource conservation, health, community development, and youth development. We all have such wonderful hopes for our program in Nepal, and we are looking forward to the arrival of our trainees in Kathmandu later this year. I want to thank the government of Nepal. I want to thank all of our partners, especially USAID. And I want to thank all of you who have served in the Peace Corps in Nepal and around the world. Thank you for your commitment to national service. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you. It is such a wonderful occasion to be here and to be with all of you to celebrate one of the truly great events that we get to celebrate. 60 years ago, the United States signed a diplomatic agreement with Nepal establishing this long partnership between the United States and Nepal. And 50 years ago, President Kennedy established USAID and the Peace Corps. Both agencies have had a very, very long and successful and remarkable partnership in Nepal. And so I think it's an appropriate time as we're reflecting on our shared histories to be able to renew that partnership between the Peace Corps and Nepal. And USAID is so excited to be part of that and to be able to facilitate that. So in Nepal, I'm particularly excited because we know that we have had such a tremendous relationship where we've worked on global health and we've seen such incredible strides on the Millennium Development Goals that have come through that relationship, particularly on maternal and child health. And we know that we have such a strong record, particularly in agriculture and food security. And so while there are challenges that remain, I have no doubt that as we join hands together again, Nepal, the Peace Corps, and USAID, that we will continue on that remarkable road together.
The sky is beautiful, like when there's no pollution. I'm told the sky of Nepal is as good as anywhere in the world. And inside here, we can celebrate leadership of Aaron as director and friend. And I'm glad you had the return volunteers stand up, because especially in the earlier years, there was a certain arrogance among the volunteers that they were the real thing and the only thing, and that staff was something like, it was pronounced often as if it was a disease that you caught in a hospital, right? They got cured by coming home and becoming staff. And that is one small part of Sergeant Shriver's dream that is largely fulfilled today. The other side of the 5-year in, up, and out rule as part of the way to make the Peace Corps, as Shriver said, the most anti-bureaucratic bureaucracy in the history of government, was that 5-year rule. The other side of the coin of it was that there should be great priority given to former volunteers to become the staff. So he imagined before long there would be exceptions with exceptional people, but that overwhelmingly the staff of the Peace Corps in the field and at home would be of returned volunteers. I somehow now have made it here to celebrate our going back to Nepal, and I'm working my way slowly, but I hope surely to get there. Thank you.
This is a great pleasure to me and my colleagues from the Embassy of Nepal in Washington, D.C., and for the government of Nepal to attend this program to announce the reopening of the Peace Corps program in the country again. We are all delighted with this announcement and the news. Nepal was one of the first countries in the world in 1962 to welcome the Peace Corps program in the world. At that time, more than 60 Peace Corps volunteers went to Nepal, and Nepal still is one of the very popular places, whether we talk about the Fulbright program or now, hopefully, the new reopened Peace Corps program, or anything that goes with the United States government working in Nepal, or even USAID program, I guess. Unfortunately, I think the Peace Corps program was suspended in 2004 for security reasons. And then we were able to reopen the program very quickly. As the director, Williams, was mentioning that it was not long time ago, that April of 2011, we were here in this building officially inviting the Peace Corps to Nepal. And before that, I myself and Ambassador Scott Delisi, we were in touch. I wrote a letter in Nepal saying and recommending that we should reopen the Peace Corps programs in Nepal. And then it took a little while, few months, because in Nepal we changed the government very frequently. And then that was one of the reasons why I think it was slightly delayed. But that was the occasion, April of 2011, when our Deputy Prime Minister was visiting Washington, D.C. Then he handed over the letter to the government, US government, and then the whole process started. And then it was done very quickly with the collaboration of USAID, and definitely I know that Scott Delisi, he used to tell me all the time that he would like to reopen and establish the Peace Corps program as soon as possible. And I have the same desire. So I think we were able to see so many new avenues opened between Nepal and the US over the last few months. Millennium Challenge Corporation, Feed the Future program, Global Health Initiative. I think the travel warning to Nepal has been taken out. So the caucus in the House of Representatives have been established. We had a cultural program in the Capitol Hill very recently. So I think there are a number of things that has happened between the two countries. I think this is really great. We are in a great time. We wish all the best to the Peace Corps program. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you very much. And I, too, am really delighted to be here today to help celebrate the return of the Peace Corps to Nepal. And I've always been struck, even back when I was in Delhi and elsewhere, that there's something very particular about the PCVs who served in Nepal. There's an enthusiasm and a loyalty about all of those who have served in Nepal that's almost unique. And I think that derives in large part from just the wonderful experiences that all of them had, and I think a lot of them are here today. And I think they also benefited so much from the very warm reception that they received in Nepal. So as Ambassador Sharma said, I mean, I think it was a very sad day for the United States when we had to reluctantly leave in 2004 because of security conditions. And now I think it's a very happy day for all of us to be able to celebrate the return of the Peace Corps to Nepal. Real progress has been achieved in the last year towards completion of the comprehensive peace process that was launched in 2006. And there's a real sense of renewed optimism now in Nepal that at last its citizens can move beyond the conflict and its aftermath to seize the opportunity to address many of the challenges that remain and to conclude the peace process. I really say with all my heart that the impact of the Peace Corps is really immeasurable. All of you, and particularly all of the PCVs, represent the best of America, and we are so proud of the Peace Corps, and we're so proud that they are now going to be, again, part of the optimistic and positive trends that are taking place in Nepal, Mr. Ambassador. So thank you all again for this opportunity to join you today, and congratulations.
धेरै नमस्कार दाजुभाइ दिदीबहिनीहरू. This is a case of everything has been said, it's just that not everyone has said it yet. I had the great pleasure of being the only Nepali-speaking member of Congress, so I was a regular for Dal Bhat Tarkari at the ambassador's residence, and I'm glad that tradition continues. I had such a wonderful experience in Nepal, and I know all of you who served there have the same feeling. There's a bond that is just, we're inextricably tied to Nepal. We know Nepal has been through a very difficult time of late, and it's great to see that things are changing. I love the upbeat assessment from the Department of State, and I trust it. It's great to hear that things are getting better. You know, there's something really uniquely idealistic about the Peace Corps. Director Williams asked me, why did I join the Peace Corps? I said, I'm an idealist. I mean, you're either crazy or you're an idealist to be in Congress for 20 years. And I'm of the firm opinion that you can be an idealist and survive 20 years in the Congress. I left Nepal an idealist. I left the Congress as a pragmatic idealist, but an idealist nonetheless. And it's just wonderful to see Peace Corps and Nepal getting back together again. It's a marriage made in heaven. Everyone here is an advocate for Nepal, as the ambassador said. We benefit greatly. I think Nepal benefits greatly, too. I mean, what's more idealistic than an agricultural extension agent going out to meet his farmers and not knowing the difference between a Baun, a Chetri, a Tamang, or a Taru? It didn't matter. They were all farmers, and they were all pretty good. Some were better than others, just like here in America, but everybody was looked at by this American kid as the same, unique to the United States. Idealistic, maybe, but it's, we think, the way the world should be, and that's why we did what we did.
I'm here to show you that Nepal One volunteers are not all on their walkers. In fact, there's several of us still here, and 50 more out there who wish they could be here. But I just want to start by saying namaste, namaste, swagatum, swagat sabailai. Hamita ya hunalai deri kusilai utsa. Okay, so we're really happy to be here. And one of the things that, that really was exciting to us was that Nepal is returning, Peace Corps is returning to Nepal on the 50th anniversary of the Peace Corps going to Nepal. It just is just wonderful. I want to tell you about the amazing people of Nepal. Now, everybody knows about the amazing people of Nepal, but I just have one little story I want to share with you that you may have missed in the media. I think, oh, anybody, if you know Nepal, you probably haven't missed it. But after the Peace Corps had to leave Nepal, you know, things were bad. And the people in Nepal did something that the world almost missed. They stood up and they went to the streets and peacefully, nonviolently, they led a change that is the envy of the world if anybody knows about it. It was something that really makes the Arab Spring, you know, resonate It was a time when thousands and thousands of people, without any great Mahatma or great Martin Luther King or great King leader or other hero, JFK or otherwise, the people just said enough. And they got the Maoists to come to the table. They got the king to step down. They put in place a constitutional process. And when you go back to Nepal, you'll find lots of people grumbling about how the process has been so slow and this hasn't been done that and this and that and the other thing. But the weapons have been silent for years now, 6 years, 7 years. And the people are just hanging in there and moving day by day to solve this thing in a most beautiful way that the Arab Spring could learn a lot from. And I know that, in fact, they did. Because a lot of the folks that really were behind those peace nonviolent movements in the Arab world were studying Nepal and what Nepal could teach them. So thank you, Dari Dhanyabad, Dari Namaskar, Om Shanti, Om Mani Pemi Hum Shi, Om Ma Hum Bazaguru Pemi Siti Hum, and Maya Namarnos.
I had 4 wonderful years in Nepal with my little family, 3 little kids. The specialness of the people, they learned a lot from the Nepalese, the Nepali people, their kindnesses, their generosity of spirit, the wonderful people of Nepal. It's a pleasure as well as an honor to read this letter from Ambassador Delisi. The return of the Peace Corps to Nepal is symbolic of the deep, long-standing relationship between our 2 countries, which blossomed during the 42 years of Peace Corps presence in Nepal from 1962 to 2004. The very strong support offered by the government of Nepal for the return of Peace Corps volunteers is also a sign of Nepal's commitment to forging ahead on its development path. The special contribution made by Peace Corps volunteers is one that is recognized throughout the country. Indeed, the foreign minister told me recently how he remembered from his childhood the role a volunteer had played in helping his community develop an accessible water delivery system in his village. Other government officials fondly recall the difference that Peace Corps teachers have made in their lives. Quite simply, our Peace Corps volunteers had a powerful impact on the lives of the people in Nepal in the past, and they will, I am confident, do so again as they return to Nepal. The return of the Peace Corps comes at an important time in Nepal's history and is a testament to our confidence in Nepal's future. I am pleased to have been a part of the negotiations to make this event possible, and I will be even more honored to swear in the first group of volunteers, our nation's grassroots ambassadors, later this year. Sincerely, Scott Delisi, Ambassador of the United States.
यो थियो नेपालमा पुनः पिस कोर भोलिन्टियरहरू पठाउने सम्बन्धमा भएको सम्झौता कार्यक्रम।